Got the LS2 installed. Didn't really run into any issues. Remember I was saying the alternator, we're hoping that would fit. Ends up fitting perfectly. You can see that gap in there. It's about 1/2 inch from the casing to the steering box at the closest point. We got the hooker headers installed. Pretty good clearance. Didn't have to cut the frame at all. A lot of people are saying you need to cut the cross member in order for this oil pan to work. Didn't have to do that at all. Had to really bang out the trans tunnel. Here are the power steering lines. That was easily done. All you did was take the LS side and the stock Chevelle side. Just took them to a hydraulic shop, got them made up with a couple of fittings. And then the return line was a simple brand new 3/8 line that we just threw on the stock line from the Chevelle and up into the reservoir. We actually had major issues starting this up. It wouldn't start. Turned out that the injectors were frozen shut. Tried to get a couple of them open by manually applying power to them. I got 6 out of the 8 open, but we decided to take them to a fuel injection repair shop here in Houston, and they were able to get them back to brand new standard. Up radiator hose, kind of on this part we used a 1.25 T. We had it goes a 1/2 inch right here, and we just broke it down to a 1/4 inch to fit it up into that line. Steam vent port, lower radiator hose. All these parts are in the description, part numbers. Got the Holley AC bracket, able to reuse the AC compressor off the small block. And we're actually, with the PCM, we were going to mount the PCM on the firewall, but since the vintage air was installed on the other side, we couldn't find a good mounting point, for screws or bolts to go through. So we ended up running the wire along here. It comes over here, and then we actually mounted the PCM right over here next to the battery, and we built a small stand for it to be flush with the battery. And then the fuse block, it's not mounted yet, but it'll just be mounted just like that, right next to the battery. All that's left is to run some wire on the inside and actually connect it to an ignition source. And run the OBD inside. Go ahead and lift it up. Starting underneath, you can kind of see a little better. Alternator, how close it is, perfect fitting. If you ran the Holley pan and moved the engine forward, that 1.5 inch that it gives, alternator wouldn't have been able to fit then. Here you can see how close the oil pan is to the cross member. These are using the UMI motor mounts, and they're actually in their forward-most position. Let's see if I can see there. Engine can't go forward anymore. So fair warning to anyone using the UMI motor mounts and they got the muscle car style oil pan, you will not be able to move the engine forward more than you can with the F-body pan. There's a Hughes torque converter, hooker headers, pretty good fit, real good quality. I'm not going to show the rest of the exhaust because it's kind of rigged right now. The G-force cross member, holes lined up perfectly with the frame, surprisingly. Had to get a brand new drive shaft. I believe that's 3.5 inch diameter. And Here's our fueling. Using the Corvette fuel filter regulator, mounted it right there, opposite side of the tank, sort of above the differential. And the fuel lines kind of just run alongside, and you end up right here, going into the fuel tank. And there's the brand new Tanks Inc. fuel injected gas tank installed. And that's it. Next video, be driving it around.